Arsenal faced Manchester City in one of the biggest games of the season. But will Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba be fit for the game? Arteta's press conference gives us all the clues. Welcome back to All About Arsenal. This weekend, Mikel Arteta is going to play his former superior, Pep Guardiola, in the clash of the ages as Arsenal hosts Manchester City. Both teams actually come into this game in good form, following wins in their Champions League encounters. Arsenal defeated Athletic Bilbao in San Mamés with 2 goals from Martinelli and Trossard, while Man City defeated Napoli in Kevin De Bruyne's homecoming with goals from Erling Haaland and Jeremy Doku. While I'll touch more on the couple of things that Arteta said during his press conference, the overview basically was the manager praising his squad and going into the game against Manchester City with some level of confidence. Arsenal has played 5 games thus far this season, considerably 1 goal, which was that wonderful free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai when Arsenal visited Anfield to take on Liverpool. However, the Gunners have kept 4 clean sheets in 5 games. Another key thing to note from the press conference was that so many players within the team were going to face late fitness decisions, and we're going to touch on them in the coming slides. But before we do that, let's talk about form. Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 4 meetings with Manchester City, and the last time Manchester City visited the Emirates, it was the whitewash. Arsenal won by 5-1, with goals from Thomas Partey, Martin Ødegaard, Kai Havertz, Miles Lewis-Kelly, and Ethan Nwaneri. This is going to be a very, very key fixture for Arsenal because this has been a tough start to the campaign, with Arsenal chasing Liverpool and then hosting Everton a day before. There'll be some additional measure of pressure going into this game because this is actually the game that is going to close the game week for match day 5. Starting with Bukayo Saka, Arteta said that there is a chance he might play after today's session because they have not done anything yet, and you'll have more information the next day. We all know Saka has been ruled out since match day 2 when Arsenal played against Leeds at the Emirates. It was a 5-0 whitewash for the newly promoted side, with Saka even scoring a very beautiful goal on the day. But while he was chasing the ball or running for the ball, I think he was giving a pass or thereabouts. He felt something on his hamstring. But I'm just grateful to the fact that it was a different hamstring from the one that was torn last season. However, it has ruled him out of action, and since match day 2, Saka has been on the sidelines with a certain Noni Madueke taking his place in the squad. And at the time of this recording, Arteta has refused to rule Saka out, and obviously it's the outcome of the training session that will determine whether he can be fit enough to start or not. My own take on this is that if Saka is not fully fit, let's not rush him into action. We have so many more games to play in the course of the season, and Noni Madueke has been in sensational form. Right now, Noni Madueke is potentially going to challenge O'Reilly at the Man City back line, or maybe Guardiola if Pep decides to play him as a left back. But Noni Madueke has been in superb form, and I trust him to cook when Arsenal plays against Manchester City. So as much as I love Saka and we want him 7 days a week, he needs to be fully fit before he starts. That's my thought process. He's a very important player. He's undoubtedly Arsenal's talisman. But what good is a Rolls Royce if it's stuck in your garage and you can't use it because of a bad engine? Up next is the key man on the thumbnail, Arsenal's captain, Martin Ødegaard. He suffered an injury when Arsenal played against Leeds. It's a very terrible fall that affected his shoulder, and he was actually substituted for Ethan Nwaneri that day. But before he was substituted for Nwaneri, he tried to play for a couple of minutes, which I feel aggravated it. I think he should have just come out after the injury happened on impact. Or maybe the physios thought that he was still good enough. I must have even told them that he's good enough to play, But unfortunately, he suffered that injury. We tried to nurse him into fitness. He played a game against Nottingham Forest and had a terrible fall on the same shoulder, which ruled him out of a game against Athletic Bilbao. I think I've also spoken about Odegaard, saying that, of course, he'll be part of the training session, and that will determine whether he's going to be part of the squad or not. In all honesty, I love Odegaard, but I don't mind Ethan Nwaneri, even Mikel Merino playing in his stead. Odegaard is a very key player for us, no doubt. But one, he's not really in good form, and two, he's not fully fit. I'm probably guessing that he might be fit enough to probably make a substitute appearance. And hopefully, when he comes on, Arsenal will be on cruise control mode rather than trying to seek a victory. His creativity is going to be very decisive for us in the team. But in the likes of Itanwaneri, with the likes of Ibrechi Eze, Arsenal has enough creativity in the tank to see up the threat of Man City, especially in the middle of the pack. There's also a certain Declan Rice who swings in different type of crosses that can be very detrimental to Man City's defense. Yeah, William Saliba's case is quite interesting. When Arsenal visited Anfield in match day 3, he rolled his ankle and said that he was still going to play. I think that was also another bad decision the club took. If we knew that he was not fit enough, we should have just allowed Mosquera play from the start. He played only 3 or 4 minutes or thereabouts, hit the deck, because he could not play anymore. He was going to be a liability to the team at that point in time. But a certain Christian Mosquera came and did amazingly well. Mosquera followed this up with another exceptional performance against Nottingham Forest. And when he went back home to Spain to play against Athletic Club in Bilbao, he was exceptional as well. Mosquera is an amazing player. Like the scouting team, I have to, doff my hat to them for such a lovely recruitment. There used to be a time when Saliba was not fit, we are going to go into panic stations. All you can just do is think 3 seasons back when Saliba got injured against Sporting CP in 2023 campaign and we got in a certain Rob Holding to play in his stead. And we all know how the defense crumbled terribly when that happened. When Christian Mosquera, Arsenal has a defender that they can actually trust and play. And alongside Gabriel, he has been outstanding. This is going to be a very tough test for him. But if Saliba is fit enough to play, maybe he can. But if he's not fit enough, I'm not going to lose sleep. That's how good the depth of this team has been. Then there are the injuries that were suffered in the game against Athletic Club. Declan Rice swung a lovely ball to the danger area, and Viktor Gyokeres and the captain of the night, Gabriel Megalish, went for the same ball. However, Gabriel nodded Gyokeres on his head after Gyokeres nodded the ball, and he suffered a nasty gash. So a terrible cut that had to require some stitching and, of course, a legendary black headband. But Gyokeres played for just 60 minutes or thereabout before he was substituted for Trossard. In the same game, Mikel Merino also suffered a head injury as well. But Arteta was quick to state in press conference that both players are fine and are good to go for Sunday, which is a very, very good news. At the time of this recording, the only recognized striker we have in the team is the Gyökeres, with Gabriel Jesus still out injured to the end of the year, and Kai Havertz recuperating from the knee procedure he did early in the campaign. So Gyökeres is the only fit striker we have. Arteta has been managing his minutes, substituting him toward the 60th, 70th minute mark, just to allow the likes of Merino strike or Trossard play false nine. But as long as he's fit enough to start against Manchester City and game, in his last 2 games at the Emirates, we have seen this celebration with 2 goals against Leeds, 1 goal against Nottingham Forest. And I'm looking forward to him scoring again against Manchester City. As for Merino, if Ødegaard is not fit, I guess he can start, probably ahead of Waneri. He's still in very good form, scored 4 goals in the last 2 games for Spain, and he will someone that will be itching to show us how important he is to the squad. Let's remember that last season, when we were all doom and gloom in attack, a certain Mikel Merino stepped up from midfield to come as de facto centre forward, and he did very well. So if he's to be whatever he starts ahead of the likes of Waneri, I won't mind. Especially the fact that it's going to be a very combative midfield. One area is quite good, but sometimes he can get overwhelmed in some kind of games. So I'm currently guessing that if Odegaard is not fit enough, it's probably with Merino, Rice, and Zubimendi. Arteta really commented about the Arsenal squad depth, praising the impact that players have made from the bench and stressing the need for consistent performances, especially in games like this when fixtures are quite tight. We can look to what the games have played thus far, and you can see the impact that the bench has made. Arsenal's last match was a very clear example of that, with Leandro Trossard and Gabi Martinelli coming from the bench to score the goals that were enough to win the game. Those are players that started from the dugout, read the game, and of course came and changed it, and that's a very good thing. So the tactics were unsure. Even after he had scored the second goal, There's a reshuffling that was done. Madueke was removed for Christian Nogard, and Nogard played in the midfield alongside Declan Rice as Mendy, locking things up in that position. This also allowed Martinelli to go to the right, Trossard to stay on the left, while Merino went to attack. So those tactical choices and prop depth came into play in Arsenal's last match, and it's something that we should keep expecting from Arteta as this campaign progresses. He made it clear that this is going to be a season of unpredictability. Can keep Man City guessing. The better for everyone involved. Arteta also expressed confidence going into a game as challenging as Man City, wanting to win, and of course a contest against a club like Man City ups the game for the Gunners. This is a team that won the last 4 Premier League titles in a row prior to Liverpool winning it last season, and they have grown to become one of the super powerhouses in the Premier League. Facing Pep Guardiola's side remains one of the ultimate tests in the Premier League, and I'm really hoping that Arsenal will have enough to see it through. The club must stay compact, they must be disciplined, and most importantly, we must take the chances when we are afforded them. So who will start against Manchester City? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us at All About Arsenal for more Arsenal content. Until then, come on, you Gunners.